The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
It's coming.
All these voices. All these voices.
They're mine. They're not yours. You had no right to them when you were alive, and you have no right to them when you're dead. That's what it sounded like. Good, you know who I am. And you know I'm not playing. You're going to let those women go. In Jesus' name, you're going to let those women go.
Is there a demon here watching us right now? Watching us right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me, as always, my co-host, Old Boy James Ash. And we are joined tonight by a very special guest, Miss Debra Lamb, Hollywood movie star. That's what I'm going to call you. How are y'all doing tonight?
I'm very good. Thank you, James and James. I'm with the Jamison brothers. Well, not quite. I'm with the James brothers.
Hopefully we don't get the same fate that the James brothers met. That would not be.
no.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be obviously an interview, but it's going to be a different kind of interview because I don't usually ask all the normal questions that normal people ask. Like, I'm not going to go through every movie you ever made and ask you the same boring questions you've been asked probably a million times. What we like to do on this show is just kind of have a conversation and just learn about the person. You know, so
I like it.
We'll get to anything you want to plug throughout the show.
Okay.
We'll get to any movies you want to talk about, all that stuff, obviously. But
Okay.
my first question for you, starting this out, is what are you passionate about? What really moves you? What gets you going? Makes you want to get out of bed in the morning?
Well, as I grow older, less and less. I would love to just stay in bed. Oh, well, okay. So traveling. My husband and I took a trip earlier this year in May. We went to London and we went, oh gosh, what's going on with James over there? He's doing the flip-de-doo.
Yeah, he likes to do that.
Yeah. We went to London and we went to Paris, and it was amazing. Now, I've been to London a handful of times, at least like 5 times before that, to go do movies and events and other things. And I was one of the guest judges for the Misty Moon Film Society Film Festival a few years back. And so I was in London for that too. So I've been to London a bunch. But I haven't been to Paris. So it was so wonderful taking my husband taking me to London. We were visiting. We got to see a bunch of my friends over there. And then we went to Paris, and neither one of us had been in Paris before. And it was so romantic. We loved Paris so much. So then just a month after we got back, he's like, starting to plan our next European vacation. And so then it was really funny because I was supposed to do a film around, I did do a film from the end of July all the way through till almost the end of August. But there was another film I was supposed to do after that, like in September. But he had planned another vacation for us to go to Rome and Venice and then Vienna, because one of my very, very best friends, Michael Haberfellner, lives in Vienna. And I actually stayed there for a few months about 6 years ago. But sorry, this thing popped up on my phone and distracted me. Okay, so, I was supposed to do a film, but luckily that film was postponed, so we did get to go on our trip. So we just got back from going to Rome and Venice, and then we went to Vienna. It was so much fun. So I would say that along with acting in films, because I am very passionate about acting in films and filmmaking in general. And I'm a writer too, so I love writing. But traveling, if I could just do a movie here and there and then just travel, that would be like, oh, now we're talking living the dream.
Yeah, I grew up over in Germany. Yeah, I
Oh,
grew up in the military. I spent my whole life in the military, and that's where I grew up. Was over right outside of Kaiserslautern, Germany, at Ramstein Air Force Base. I actually lived at Volgaway Air Force Base. It was right beside Ramstein, and so I was over there before the wall came down or any of that stuff, like back in the '80s, and it was an amazing, amazing place back then. Because
how
first of
old
all,
were you while you were there?
I was um, it was before I was 10 years old, so it was probably like 8 to 12, something like that. That
And
age.
you were there for 4 years?
Yeah, for 4 years, and it was amazing because back then the wall hadn't come down yet, and Reagan was in office, and all of the Germans looked at every American like we were John Wayne. I mean, they thought we were just Rambo. We were the baddest people on the planet. Like they did not want to mess with us. So you got nothing but the utmost respect. And then we
Wow.
go on these things called Volts marches, which it's essentially like a marathon that you walk instead of run, but it's only like a 3K or something. It's not very long, but you're walking through the mountains in Germany, and you're going down these little hamlets, these little villages, and the villagers would see you there that you were American, and they would invite you in their homes, and you get to eat brochen with them, which was like a Danish type roll, and they'd have like all these really cool like cheese danishes and all this amazing. In the midway point, there was like a concession set up where you could get like red wurst and fumfritz and mayonnaise. And oh my God, it's the most amazing. And I miss it so badly. I thought about going back just to have a red wurst because you can't get them here. Like you can get wurst here, but it's not the same meat that you get in Germany because it's illegal to ship it here from there.
Oh.
It's like our government won't allow it because our government is dumb. But they like won't let you ship it in. So if you have wurst here, it's different than wurst in Germany because
Okay.
the animals are fed differently there than they are
Okay.
here. Uh, a lot more healthy there, honestly. But
I'm sure.
our
I'm
FDA
sure. Yeah.
approved. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I can understand that passion for travel because when we were there, we went all over Europe. I got to see every castle in Europe. It was really really awesome. And I went to Paris as well. And I have a horrifying story about Paris if you want to hear it. It's pretty bad. One thing about me that probably Old Boy knows, but probably a lot of people don't know, is I don't know if you'd call it a phobia, but I have a thing with mimes. Like I don't like mimes at all. Like they send me into a rage. Like I just want to throttle them. And I'm not that kind of person. You know what I mean? But something about mimes drives me crazy. So I was a little kid and we're standing in this line to go into this cafe in Paris. And my mom is chatting away with her friend who came on the trip with us. And this mime comes up and he's doing this stupid mime thing. And he comes right up to me because I'm a little kid and he thinks, oh, this will be cool. I'll entertain this little kid. Well, he doesn't know I hate mimes. I can't stand them. So I start kicking this mime in his legs. And then I started peeing on the mime. I was peeing on the mime. And the mime broke character and said, hey, and my mom turned around and was like, what are you doing? And grabbed me. And we had to get out of there because we were going to get in trouble. But yeah, that was my experience in Paris. We were only there for one day, and I kind of ruined the trip for everybody because I cannot stand mimes. So I understand the traveling part, but Paris was not fun for me, as it probably was a lot more fun for you. I'm sure you didn't piss on a mime while you were there.
I didn't, but I have to say I really hate mimes too.
Yes, I knew I loved you. I knew I loved you. Old boy hates
Uh,
clowns. Isn't that weird? Old boy has the same feeling I have about mimes about clowns. He goes
I hate
crazy when he sees
clowns
a clown.
too. I hate clowns and mimes. I mean, they're kind of the same, but
They
no,
smell like
I really
cabbage.
hate clowns. Even worse than mimes.
He hates them because he says they smell like cabbage. That's his reasoning
Oh,
behind it. Isn't that fun?
okay. I just hate everything about clowns. It's just creepy. So creepy. And it's funny because just not that long ago, a couple months ago, do you know Svengoolie?
Yes.
Oh yeah, so we're big fans of Svengoolie. Do you know Svengoolie? Do you know Svengoolie, James?
Yes. Oh, you talking
Oh,
about
the other James. Oh, I can't hear him.
I've heard of him. I've heard
Oh,
of
oh,
him.
oh, okay. So he comes on every Saturday night. So sometimes we're not into the movie and we don't watch it. We watch something else. But so he had on Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and I'd never seen it before. Of course, I'd heard of it, but I never actually watched it. So we started watching it. I was actually doing something. So my husband was watching it, and then I was like, that seems pretty funny. So I start watching it, and it was like, okay, that was pretty good.
Yeah,
Very creepy.
that's a classic, man. That's one of my favorite movies growing up. That and The Toxic Avenger. You ever seen that?
I have, and I am very good friends with Debbie Rochon. And do you guys know Debbie Rochon?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
but yeah, we know who they are, who she is.
so she has worked with trauma, and she's done a lot of trauma movies, and so yeah. But yeah, those Toxic Avengers movie, which is along the lines of some of the films I did back in the 80s and 90s. And
Have you seen the remake of Toxic Avenger?
What's that?
No, I do remember they did one.
My cousin plays it. It's Daniel. I'm related to Daniel Radcliffe. He's a fourth cousin. The guy who played Harry Potter. He plays that part of the Toxic. It's supposed to be good. I haven't seen it. It's owned by Trauma. You can only see it if you stream to them, and it's supposed to be really good.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't really say nothing about that because I've never met him. He's just my mom's a Radcliffe. She was got married and changed her name, but yeah, we're supposed to be related to him. But
That's cool.
yeah, it is what it is. I don't really talk about it too much, but he's the Toxic Avenger in the remake. So yeah, I've seen a lot of trauma movies. Yes, big fans of all kinds of Wild Hearts. I've seen that. Back in the day, and a couple other RoboCop and Trains, Planes, and Automobiles. All those old school movies. Yeah,
the ones that I was in.
Yeah.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was an amazing flick. I love that movie.
It was really good. Well, do you already know the story of my part in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
I don't.
No. Go ahead.
Okay, then let me tell you the story. Okay, well, I've told this story before, but I'll tell you. So I did Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and I had an amazing scene with John Candy and Steve Martin. So the day that I was working, it was a bunch of dancers. It was me and a bunch of other dancers. And then they wanted somebody to do a little improv scene with John Candy and Steve Martin. And I volunteered, and at the time I was actually in an improv comedy troupe. So I felt very comfortable doing improv. So it turned out really funny. And after we did our little scene, it was mainly me and John Candy, just having this screwball, really silly conversation. And then Steve Martin comes, and he's trying to drag his friend away, and but it was really funny. So in the film, of course, the whole purpose, Steve Martin's whole thing, what he's trying to do is to get home. So throughout the film, a couple times you see him trying to call his wife. So after the car catches on fire, or it doesn't blow up, but it catches on fire or something, and they go into a strip club because he needs to use the phone. So then I'm one of the dancers in the club. So John Candy comes up to me and we start having this really ridiculous conversation. And this is all improv, of course. And then Steve Martin comes to drag him away. So when we were done with the scene, everybody just busted up. They just everyone was roaring with laughter. John Hughes practically fell on the floor laughing. And so it was a great day. It was a really great day. So I got to I was invited to Paramount for a private screening at Paramount. And you get to the door and they were handing out one sheets with everybody's name on it, the cast and crew. And so my name was on there. So I was really thrilled because I was like, oh, good, I didn't get cut out. And I go to sit down and I went with at that time, my boyfriend, Steve. We went together and we sat down, and this editor who had worked on the film was sitting behind me, and he says, oh, I recognize you. Oh my God, you were so funny. That scene was so funny. So I was so thrilled because I was like, oh, good, I didn't get cut out. So we watched the whole movie, and the scene that I was supposed to be in would have been towards the end of the film, and it wasn't there. So after the movie was over, the editor said, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you got cut out. I didn't work on the thing of you being cut out. So anyway, it was devastating. So, but fast forward to about 6 years ago or so, I worked with a young female filmmaker named Michelle Nesk, who's become a good friend. And she told me she loved me in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And I was like, what? Because, of course, I got cut out. So she actually saw me in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles many, many years before, way, way before we knew each other. And she had a VHS copy of it in her basement in storage somewhere because she taped it off of Canadian television. She was staying in Canada, maybe with some relatives or something, and she taped it off the TV because she loves that film so much. And but there was a flood in the basement, so the tape got destroyed, so she couldn't give me the tape or make a copy. But then not that long after she told me that she saw me in it, about a couple years later, which was a few years ago now, another a filmmaker from New Zealand messaged me. And he says, I didn't know you were in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And I said, well, I was, but I got cut out. And he says, no, I just saw you. I said, what? He says, yeah, I just saw you on TV in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And he's like, yeah. And he described the scene, and that was the scene. So he was playing pool in some kind of sports bar in Canada, and he saw it while he was playing pool. It was on TV in Canada. So there's two people who have seen me on television in Canada at years and years apart. So this other version exists somewhere in Canada. And no one can.
I wonder if there's like a director's cut version you can get on Blu-ray or DVD or something that would have the scene in it as well.
Well, a few years ago, they came out with a new 4K Blu-ray, a remastered copy of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and I was so excited. This is a few years back. Super excited because there was going to be deleted scenes that was going to be included in the deleted scene section. Well, I did get a copy and some other people got copies, but my scene wasn't in it. And then somebody also talked about a director's cut. And then there was this other version that there's some other version that's out somewhere there. I mean, people have seen it. Where there are scenes in it that aren't in the theatrical release, but I don't think my scene's in that one. There is some version that somehow is only playing on Canadian television, and nobody can seem to track it down.
So it's not playing on U.S. television?
No.
Weird. Because I remember one of my favorite movies was Blazing Saddles. I love that film. And,
Me too.
when I saw it on TV one time, there was an entire scene where he gets Mongo when Mongo comes in to get him, and then Mongo ends up tied up.
Yeah.
There's a whole scene in between there where they're doing like almost like a vaudeville kind of cartoony thing where he's like Candygram for Mongo and all this does all this
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
that
I've seen
wasn't
that.
yeah that wasn't in the original film, but it played in the TV version of the film. So
You
it's
mean
like
that's not in the theatrical release?
I don't know about the theatrical because I didn't see it in the theater, but it wasn't on my VHS of it, and it wasn't on my DVD of it when I rebought it on DVD afterwards when I
Oh,
wasn't the VHS. So it wasn't on either one of those copies, but it was on the TV version. So I'm
oh,
thinking
okay.
maybe they put extra scenes in because they got to cut some stuff out for TV for censorship, like to get by the censors. Now I don't know
Well,
about
my
Grand Mono, but there's not a whole lot in there that would be too raunchy, but
yeah, but my scene in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I know why it was cut out of the American version. It's a holiday film, family film. I'm topless in that scene.
oh, well, that'll do it. That's surprising that it plays on TV, but I guess in Canada they don't care.
It gets in Canada.
Because I know in Germany it was like that too. All in Europe, I mean, they don't care about topless women over there.
Oh, there's boobs everywhere.
Yeah, it's glorious because nobody cares. That's the great thing about it. You know, like you come here, and it's funny because, and I always thought this was funny when I came back stateside, that America we're billed as like the land of the free, right? And I'm not bashing America. I love America. We defended this country. Every generation of my family has all the way back to the Revolutionary War. But we're supposed to be the land of the free, but in all reality, socially, we're not free at all. I mean, we're some of the least free people on the planet. You know, over in Europe,
Mhm.
they're a lot freer about a lot of other stuff. You know,
Yeah, but I wouldn't say we're not as free as other. We're not. Oh well, however you said it. You said on in the planet because there's so many countries that are so way worse
yeah,
worse oppressed than we are. However, the European countries, I agree with you. There's a lot of European countries that do seem to have a lot more freedoms than we do as far as expressing yourself. But but yeah, there's some other countries that are way worse, way worse.
yeah, that's a very very good point. Because I mean,
Yeah.
I've been to some places that are pretty sketchy. That like I was talking about Germany earlier on the wall. I actually got to go to the wall while I was there, and
Oh,
and
that's cool.
a lot of people think it was just a wall, but it wasn't. It's actually two walls, and it's a whole area in between the two walls. And the area in between the two walls is filled with like sand and razor
Oh,
wire coils. And they have like attack dogs.
ah!
And if you're lucky, well, I don't want to say if you're lucky. You're very unlucky if you got to see this, but every once in a while somebody would make a break for it,
Yeah,
try to get through no man's land is what they called it, to get to the West German side so they could be free.
yeah, yeah.
And if they managed to make it past the razor wire and didn't get hung up in that, and they managed to dodge the tower that was shooting at them, then they would release the dogs on them before they got to the other side. And they had these vicious dogs that would just tear them apart right there in the middle
Oh,
of it. It was horrible. But my point of it was that I stood on the West German side, and you look back into West Berlin, and there's McDonald's, and there's just, it's like here. It's bright,
yeah,
cheery, lights everywhere. Everybody's happy, having a good
yeah.
old time. And then you look over no man's land, and you can see some of East Berlin, and it was like night and day. It was literally like dreary over there and dirty, and you had people just standing in line all the time. Like every time I ever looked, there was somebody, a big old line of people. And it's funny because later when I got back stateside, I was watching an interview with they did an actual interview with some of those people online. I don't know who was able to get in to do it, but they did it. And they were asking them, "What are you standing in line for?" And the people didn't have any idea. They're like, "I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know what I'm waiting for. We just know that if there's a line, you get in it. Because if you get in the line, when you get to the front of the line, you get something. Now you might get toothpaste
oh,
one day, you might get food one day, you might who knows what you're going to get because the line's
oh
not
my
long,
God.
but you got to get what you can get so you don't starve to death. You know what I mean? And I always thought
Yeah,
that was amazing that the difference between the two, and it was separated by a short distance. An imaginary line, if you really think about it, that
yeah,
we made up because the Germans can't behave themselves. You know what I mean? That's really all it was. And to see the difference between those two, it was striking. It was just, and I
Yeah.
never forgot that as a child. You know, that
Yeah.
stayed with me my whole life. So when I definitely understand your point. There are a lot of places on this planet that are a lot less free, and it's even weird with Europe because Europe, socially and sexually, way more free. But as far as like actual freedom of speech and stuff like that, not so much. You know what I mean? We
Right.
used to have a lot more of it here than we do now. Now we're getting scary here, but over there, a lot of places you're not really all that free anymore either, and that's a scary thing, you know.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I may be wrong about this, but it's always been my experience that America, as Reagan described it, is that kind of that shining city on a hill, and we're supposed to be the ideal, right? Our Constitution is supposed to be the ideal. This is what it's supposed to be. People are supposed to be free to live their lives and be happy and all this stuff. And it's always been said that if America falls, the rest of the world will fall. You know, and in a way, I kind of believe that because we had like the strongest military and all of that kind of stuff. So we kind of are the defenders, you know. And this is all leading somewhere. It's all kind of leading into my next question, which is kind of a weird way to get there. Is what what would you think would be the important things? You know what I mean? Like if we're trying to safeguard the world for this, that, and the other thing, do you think it would be like as an artist, because you said you're a writer and you know obviously you're an actress and all that stuff. Do you think the freedom of expression would be the most important thing, or do you think that like the freedom of information would be the most? What do you think would be the most important um, goal as far as a species, so to speak, like the whole planet wide of what we as people should be striving towards protecting?
Well, freedom of expression and freedom of speech, it's all very important. You know, the fact that so many schools they don't have the funding for the arts. They don't have the funding for kids to learn how to play instruments and or to have drama in school or just any kind of art, just art, you know, and that's very important. So it's all very important. I I it all goes hand in hand, so it's hard to say that one thing is more important over another thing. It's all very important. And you know, we all know that art is very therapeutic. Music and any artistic outlet or any artistic expression among just kids and young people and adults. And, you know, I mean, people as a society, we're all becoming more and more depressed, more isolated, more with the, you know, more and more people have uh, the feeling of doom, you know. So to have that's the one of the things that I love about acting and why I'm an actor and why that because the film industry as a business is very frustrating, and it's a lot of the people that you deal with are really not good people, and there's just an overwhelmingly amount of narcissism, and there's a lot of psychos in this business and liars, you know, compulsive liars and phonies and fakes. So the business itself I find difficult to transverse, and but I stay in it because of my love for the art of acting and the art of filmmaking, and what a film or a person's performance in a particular role or a film, how it can lift people up, give people hope, make people feel like there's good in the world. It, you know, obviously it can scare you with scary movies and horror films and slashers, and give you that sense of, you know, you watch some of these slashers, some of the scarier movies, and you know, you're like, ah, and it raises your adrenaline, but then you get to go to your comfy home, and and it's part of it's for a laugh too, or just the stuff during Halloween, going through haunted houses. And the reason I'm bringing all this up is because we're not robots. We're people, and society, I think, more and more is pushing humanity towards everybody just being robots and just going to work and being consumers and taxpayers, and less and less, and taking pieces of our humanity away, bit by bit. So to be able to express yourself through art and join other people who are trying to do the same, it's a very nice way to connect, because again, I feel that, I know for a fact people are feeling more and more disconnected all the time. It's getting worse and worse. There's countries in Asia where young men really have no way there's really no way for them to get girlfriends, and they are more and more relying on like sex dolls and robots. They have these robots now, and they're very realistic. And in some of these movies where a guy will fall in love or have a relationship with a fake woman, more and more that's actually becoming the reality of it, where women are choosing more and more not to be in relationships, and so are men. They're just hiding in their houses. Everybody does everything online. Everybody's talking to everybody over video. Yeah, it's very sad. I'm very lucky. I have a wonderful husband, and a nice home life, but I didn't always have that. I've struggled. I had a really horrific childhood, and I had another marriage that was really very horrible, and so I feel so lucky and blessed that my life is good now. But I totally get it, because I've been homeless. I've had nothing. I've gone without food. I had it pretty rough there throughout different times in my life, and as a child I was homeless. So to be able to bring some laughter in a small way, or just to be able to be in a film that people really enjoy, and it gets them out of their, whatever grind they're going through, or I like to watch. I have a very eclectic taste in films. I love really serious films, and I love comedy, and I love horror, and I love action, and I love films that are very, like, the heartfelt films. I just watched on the plane. Let's see, on the plane to Rome. Let's see, what was I watching? I kind of forgot. But on the way back, I do remember I finally got around to watching Her Sister's Keeper, which is a film starring Cameron Diaz, and it was very heart-wrenching. And then I watched The Eyes of Tammy Faye, because I've been wanting to see that with Jessica Chastain, because I love her so much, and it was really good. And then I saw completely different films, and then I watched The Good Liar, which was such a good film, and I really loved that film because we got to stay in Vienna for a few days, and that film stars Helen Mirren, and Ian, what's his last name? McClellan? How do you say his last name?
I'm not sure.
From the X-Men, Ian, I think it's McClellan.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
McClellan, something like that.
Yeah. So they were in it, and then they end up going to Berlin. And in case anybody wants to watch this film, I don't want to ruin it, but it was really good. And there are some things about the Second World War and the activities of a certain somebody in Berlin. And so it's like, she's not what she appears to be, and he's not what he appears to be. And I love those kind of films. Another film I really loved was, I don't think this film gets enough credit, but Jennifer Lawrence was in a film called Red Sparrow, when she's like a Russian operative, and I think she does go to, does she go to Berlin or something? But and another film that I really love that has Berlin as the central location is Atomic Blonde with Charlize Theron. I love that film. That was a big action film, but that was cool. I love the style. They had kind of a 70s vibe going on in that one. But I would love to be in a film set in the 70s in the Cold War era. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I agree with you about art programs and stuff like that. And I think it's a lot deeper than a lot of people realize too, because yes, art is good for the soul. There's no denying that. Art classes, drama, chorus, and I did chorus and stuff when I was in school. All that's great for the soul and makes you super happy. But also, art is kind of a gateway drug if you think about it. Not a drug, but you know what I mean, like a gateway. Because what art teaches you, all those kind of classes teach you, is lateral thinking. It teaches you to kind of think outside of the box.
Yeah.
That's useful in engineering. That's useful in science. That's
Yeah.
useful
Oh, yes.
so
absolutely.
art expands your mind and makes you smarter, I think. So I think taking art out of school and replacing it with mostly indoctrination to produce exactly what you said earlier, like good little consumers, good little people that follow the rules and do what they're told. That's the goal. And I think by doing that, you're crushing ingenuity, you're crushing the genius of a whole generation or two. I think that's really sad. And I think art, a lot of people don't see art as important because they look at it just as, oh, it's just a frilly thing. Who cares? It's not important. A bunch of people up on stage goofing off. But I don't think they really stop and think what it does to the brain, especially a developing brain, how it expands it and how it makes you happy, and how you can take a kid that might be a wallflower that isn't in sports, doesn't know anybody, isn't popular, and turn them into this outgoing, amazing person because they find something they love and something they can belong to. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna throw over to Boy and let him ask some questions so that I don't monopolize the whole show. Go ahead, brother.
Well, thank you for finally coming on my show. 7, 8 years later? I've been asking her for like 7 years, and she's a busy person. She makes a lot of movies, and I finally got her to come on, and I'm very happy about that. Thank you for coming on Staring into the Abyss.
Well, you're welcome. I gotta say, there's a little story. So sometimes when people contact me, if I'm having a really busy time, I'll say, let's try to do this sometime later, or maybe in a few months, or whatever it is. And but then I'll forget, and this has happened a few times. So when James messaged me, I went back into our prior messages to just jog my memory of what we had been talking about, and it turned out he had asked me to come on the show a long time ago. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, because I realized that I think you may have asked me more than once, and you may have asked me twice. And I think, and one time I did answer you, and I think there was another time that I didn't answer you, and I'm like, whoa! Because I always answer everybody. I never leave anybody hanging. I always get back to people. And I think there was a message that I just failed to get back to you on. And so when we started talking, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But I was really happy to be now, finally, after all these years, coming on your show.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, and I'm glad you finally did. Yeah, you always answer me, and you've even when we first were doing this a month ago, you answered me. You called me for like an hour. You even talked to me while you were in Italy. That's
Yeah,
the kind of
yeah,
person she is.
yeah.
We all get busy, you know. I've changed a lot, you know. I've written 2 books. I've done this show. I do another show. I do paranormal investigations now. Some I
That's
get it, some
cool.
don't.
I'm really into the paranormal investigations.
Yeah, we do pretty extreme stuff too. We do not to cut old boy off, but we don't normally like just go into haunted places and do like spirit box sessions and stuff. We actually work demonic cases where families are being attacked, and we go in and do exorcisms and bless the houses and get the demons out and save the families. So we work those kind of cases where people are being harmed and hurt, and
Wow.
try to help them. Go ahead, brother. Sorry about that.
Yeah, just so you know, I was talking to somebody right now because I've been working a case. The guy in Long Beach, his name is Donald Perdue. He was a famous racer in the 80s and 90s, and there's a something's been attacking him for a year sexually. Like yeah, like what was that movie in the 80s where the lady's getting attacked?
There was one with Barbara Hershey.
Yeah.
She did one, and that one was really good.
The entity. The entity.
Yeah.
The entity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the one you're thinking of?
Yeah, it was almost like that, not that extreme, but he had people come in spending thousands of dollars. He had somebody that knew Zach Baggins, and we'll just leave it at that. The guy from Ghost Adventures that has the museum in Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have my opinions on him, but I'm still helping this guy. He's finally getting.
Well, wait a second. What's his name again? What's his first name?
Baggins.
No, not that guy.
Donald.
The guy that needs.
Oh, Donald Perdue.
Donald.
Perdue.
Okay. Are you saying that Donald spent thousands of dollars for people to come over?
Yeah.
He had somebody from Florida or something come out and spend $1,500 just to tell him something. It didn't work. And oh yeah, buy my book. If he had other people come from Arizona spending $200 or $300, he had to give them to, oh yeah, go ahead and buy this necklace from me. This is where I have a problem with some people who are in the, just like you said about Hollywood, and we know people in Hollywood. Trust me, you don't have to tell me the stories.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with ghosts. These shows, people just think they're only in it to get money and become famous and fake and all this.
Oh,
they're not really
that poor
helping
guy.
people.
Are you?
Yes.
So you're helping him?
Yeah.
Yes, I've been helping.
Well,
him
I
for
hope
years.
he's not giving his money to anybody else.
I don't make him give me any money. I do.
No,
I
not
do
you. I mean, just in. I didn't mean you. I meant.
No, I know. Yeah.
Because these people are just.
Yeah, it's actually worse in the paranormal field than anywhere else, I thought. Because what they do is they latch on these people that are being attacked or hurt.
Yeah.
These people that are just broken. They're just so devastated because someone they truly love died, and they're just desperate to see them or talk to them again. And
I know they become victims,
and they will milk them for every cent they have, with the promise that you're going to get to talk to your loved one again, or I can help you get rid of this thing. And so they charge them thousands and thousands and thousands until they bankrupt these people almost. And then in the end, they don't actually help them because they don't know what they're doing. They're just thieves. That's all they are. You know.
Now I agree with you. I've been doing psychic readings since my very early 20s, and I've done it off and on throughout my life where, I'll do a lot of that. I was doing a lot of it too about 10, 12 years ago, but then I got really busy with the acting. So I kind of let that go off to the side because, I only have so much energy to put on so many things. And, but yeah, I've done a lot of that myself. So, I'm very into all that kind of stuff.
Good. Yeah, we do a lot of extreme cases. They call me stuff that can't be fixed, they call us.
And are you able to help these people?
90% of the time.
What happens if you come across a case that it's like you just can't, whatever's attacking them or whatever's stuck in their home or whatever? What happens if you come across a case that it's like that thing is just not going away? Then what do you do?
Well, it's a two-way street.
Oh, that's true.
It
Yeah.
has to be us working the case and helping, but also
Yeah.
the person that's being attacked or has the attachment or whatever has to want it gone and be willing to go through the steps to do it.
That's right.
Like, we had a case here, and the guy ended up dying, but I saved his daughter and I saved his wife. The daughter,
How did he die?
he died. His liver failed.
Oh.
Alcohol.
Oh.
He had an attachment from a demon that caused him to start drinking and drugging. I've known this guy since high school, and he was never into drugs or alcohol ever. Like I knew this guy, but then he got this attachment, and he started going drinking a lot and doing all this stuff. His daughter, the thing started attacking his daughter. His daughter was a wonderful, wonderful child, an amazing kid, no problems. And then all of a sudden, started drawing these pictures of just horrific things, and ended up trying to kill herself multiple times, and they ended up had to lock her up in a mental institution for her own safety. And
Oh my God.
I got the wife away, I got the kid away. The kid's doing great now, is an amazing teenager, no problems, no mental illness, no suicide attempt, as happy as can be. The wife is doing better. But the day that I was going in to do the exorcism on the father, he skipped town because he didn't want to do it. He wanted the thing with him.
Oh.
Demons will lie.
Wow.
They'll make you think that you need them and that you want
them
and
Right.
everything.
Right.
So he skipped town and left, and I wasn't able to help him. But I was able to get the daughter to safety and get the wife to safety. He ended up dying a couple years later. The wife ended up leaving him because he wouldn't get it taken care of. And he ended up dying of liver failure a couple years later. And I still tried periodically, like every week or two, I would contact him and I'd say, "Hey man, I really want to help you. Let me know where you are, and I'll come help you." And I was never able to get him because he just was too far gone at that point and didn't want to help. He was
Yeah.
and try to get away from me because
Yeah.
unfortunately, like the way it works, man, I'm not a superhero. I'm just a guy. I'm a pastor. I'm a born again Christian. I'm somebody that is called to do this work. And if the person is willing, and it's God's will that they're healed, and that this thing is gone, it's going to be gone.
Yeah.
It'll stand up to it. But the problem is, a lot of times people don't want it gone because they're gaining something, whether it's fame or fortune or popularity or whatever it is. That demon has lied in their ear and told them this is what you want. They think that it's in their own interest not to get help. And
Have you come across people who have this attachment of something malevolent?
All
I
the
can't even
time.
say the word. What?
All the time.
No, what I was going to get at, people who have something attached to them that are in the entertainment business, that they feel they're getting popularity or roles or they're getting ahead somehow, but it's like something evil's attached to them. Have you seen that?
yes, and they've even some that have flat out said that they've sold their soul for that success, and they
Yeah.
believe that they can be helped because they sold their soul. But what I try to explain to them, you can make that deal with the devil. You know what I mean? You can promise a demon your soul. You can promise all this, and they'll help you. But the truth of the matter is, your soul don't belong to you or that demon. Your soul belongs to God, so you can't sell it. You can throw away your salvation. You know what I mean? And make sure that you go to hell and burn because you want to do that. But you can't say, okay, I sell my soul to you, devil, and then there's no way to get you back. That's not a thing. God will always save you if it's His will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's part of the lies that they tell them. But yes, to answer your question, absolutely. And not only have we run across people that that exact scenario, but they've literally told us we have sold our soul to get to where we are, and there is no help.
Really? Wow. Because you always hear that. I watch a lot of videos on YouTube. A lot of them are about, how evil the entertainment business is. And, I can see plainly that, yeah, there's a lot of evil things going on. But there's genuinely good people that are involved with filmmaking. So it's not 100% across the board, but I would have to say it is the majority. And I do see a lot of in fact, I was just talking to a friend earlier today that a lot of these people in their entertainment business industry is, there are a lot of really desperate souls, so desperate people just wanting to make it no matter what it takes. And in fact, that reminds me, because I was having a conversation. My mother, we don't talk anymore, and she had wanted to be an actress when she was younger. And I was like, about a year ago, I was just like expressing my woes to her, and she absolutely had zero empathy for me, and she made that very clear. And she said, and I've heard her say this in the past too. She said, well, if I were you, I would just do what it takes and not let anything stop me. And of course, she's in her 80s, and she's, not completely bedridden, but she doesn't do anything. And she knows that I have a very loving relationship with my husband. And so I think she was kind of alluding to that. Well, if I were you, I'd just leave him and go because I don't live in LA. I'm from LA, but I'm actually in Northern California these days. So I think I was saying, well, there's not a whole lot going on up here. And she was saying, well, I would just go where I needed to be and do what it takes. And I'm like thinking, yeah, Mom, I know you would do anything it takes. Yeah. But meanwhile, she's been, throughout her life, she talked about, she was actually pursuing acting when I was still just out of high school. But, it's like a lot of these people, they have these feelings and she never really got anywhere. But these people, they have an idea that, that they would do anything. I've had people screw me over because they thought it would benefit them. I see people screwing each other over all the time. The level of lying that goes on, people claiming that they can do this and they can do that and they're this, they're that. And that's one thing that, I really don't like to do is I don't represent myself that I'm bigger than I am or that I've done greater things than I have. And, a lot of these people, they turn small things that they've done into, oh, I should have won the Oscar for that one, Or
we have a couple. We know a couple of them. Trust me.
Okay, yeah. Well, we all do. It's like they'll be in some little film, and all of a sudden they're acting like they're on their way to winning the Oscar, and yeah. But yeah, I find that very interesting. The people who sell their souls or claim that they sell their souls, because like I said, I watch a lot of things on YouTube about. I'm a big conspiracy theorist. Big into those conspiracies.
We do that stuff, so that's why we got to watch what we say because we've been shadow banned because of some of these conspiracy theories.
Okay.
I'll tell you so we got to come up with new ones because all the old ones done come true.
Yeah,
they do come true. They do come true. And
don't worry, TikTok makes plenty of new ones every day. So,
I refuse to get on TikTok. I've got Facebook and Instagram, and that's it for me because I can't handle anymore. I already feel like I'm on social media way too much, and I'm not on there nearly as much as some of these other people. I see people posting like every day or several times a day or whatever. And I'm lucky if I get up a couple a week, or, sometimes if I'm really have a lot to promote, I might do some, a few in a week, but it takes, then, I just end up down in the black hole, the abyss of Facebook.
So you being a fan of horror, I'm going to go here because
Okay.
I know you probably, even though I don't like clowns, there is one clown I do like, and you know where I'm going with this.
No, I don't. What?
It's the most popular horror movie right now, the #1 movie in the world, Terrifier. What do you think about that movie? Because it's a Z movie now it's like the #1 movie in the world. What do you think about that? Because it is a clown, but he doesn't talk. So
is this the second one?
No, this is the third one. This is the one. Yeah, the third one.
I haven't seen them.
You haven't seen the Terrifier movies? Okay.
No.
It started with All Hallows Eve back in 2012, and they had like a budget of $10,000, and they made Terrifier from it because it was like a part of a short story, and it blew up. It was like a Z movie that blew up now, and now it's like it's really bad. It's really gory. I love the series because I love low budget horror.
You like gore?
Oh yeah, extreme.
Okay.
We're friends with Marcus and Unearthed Films and Stephen Barrow. We're friends with those guys.
Oh, I know Stephen Barrow.
Yeah, and you probably know Marcus Cook too. He's been on our show. He's the one that did the human guinea pig movies. He's done a couple of those.
I've heard of that one. I did like Stephen Barrow's film. Oh God, what is it called? What's it called? One with the priest and
American Guinea Pig Exorcism. That's
what it is? Yeah. Jessica Cameron being in the that was good. I liked it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, Marcus did the special effects of that one. He's also part of some of those movies, but we're friends with the guy who did the original guinea pig movie because it was from the Japanese version. They bought the rights from it, and our friend Brandon did it. And ever since then, he's never been the same since he played that part because he was like the satanic killer. And yeah, it's really extreme movie. But this is what Terrifier is. It's the extreme movie. It just blew up and it made like $40 million in 2 weeks. And it's only had a budget of $2 million. That's why I love it.
You mean the third one? The third one only had a $2 million budget and it made like $40 million.
It's $40 million. Marcus Cook went and saw it. He loved it. Yeah, everybody. It's the only reason, if you're a small budget person, that's why I love it. So it's the #1 unrated film that make the most money of all time. That it just broke a bunch of records. Yeah,
because I know it just came out, right?
Yeah, the third one just came out 2 weeks ago, October 11th. You can go see it. It's everywhere. Yeah,
wow.
But watch the first two.
Well, I got to tell you, if there's a clown in it, I'm probably not going to see it. I just did a film, going on about 2 months ago now. I was in Grand Junction, Colorado, doing a film called Shadows of the Night.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the producers on that too, along with Todd Ernest Braley, the director, and Ty Guberman, the other producer. And that film is about paranormal entities and getting on the dark web and the evil that you can bring through. And I play the grandmother of the main girl, and she's the one fiddling around with the dark web, and it gets her into a lot of trouble. Well, Bill Oberst Jr. was in it with me, and I got to be. I've been friends with Bill for a long time, but we were staying at the same Airbnb house, so we got to spend some really good quality time together. I love that man so much. He is a sweetheart. I would work with him in anything and everything I possibly could. He's just amazing, an amazing actor. He's an amazing person. He's got a huge heart. But he played, oh gosh, what was that movie called? He's in a movie where he plays the clown and it's really scary. But I haven't seen it. But that's one of his most well-known films. Do you know the one I'm talking about? Where he's
101 Tears?
No, I remember it was. It's Circus of the Dead. Is that it?
Yeah, Marcus is in that movie. He helped direct that movie. That's funny
Oh,
you said that. Yes, Marcus is in that movie and he helped direct it. Marcus, he's like when you're getting the tickets, he's the guy sitting down giving the tickets. That's who Marcus Cook is.
oh,
He's
and
been on our show numerous times. So
oh,
he's in that
yeah.
movie too.
So I think so. I told Bill, well, I got to see your movie that
Yeah.
because I knew of it before, but I didn't think to watch it. But now, especially after working with Bill, I'm like, okay, I got to see that movie. I still haven't seen it, but I will.
Yeah, cool.
But there are certain kind of horror films that horror people automatically think that horror is like I'm a horror fanatic or horror is my very favorite genre, and I do love horror, but it's not like it's my favorite out of anything. And I also love action. I love action adventure, and like I said, comedy and drama, of course. And so horror is definitely in there, but there's other films that I would watch over a horror film, but there are some amazing classic horror films. I just saw a film not too long ago that I really loved. It's not. I don't know if you consider it your typical horror film, but it was called Oddity. And oh, you saw it? Did you see it?
I've seen so many
You heard
horror
it?
movies. I think I've seen it a while ago.
Oh, that one was really, really, really good. It was about twin sisters, and the one sister gets killed, and the other sister's blind, and it was really good. So I really do love a good horror film. I'm not such a big fan of the gore films, but I love psychological thriller type horror films, and I love like more paranormal type stuff, and
kind of like Silence of the Lambs? Have you seen Longlegs yet with Nicolas Cage?
I love
That movie's great.
Longlegs. Now I know a lot of people were like they made such a fuss over it when it came out. I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it on Amazon. But I guess the big thing was so many people hyped it up so much that then they go to see it and they're like, yeah. But I absolutely loved it. I've seen it 3 times. I loved it that much. And I just love that film. The girl, I forget her name. The main character, well, anyway.
I know who she is. Yeah, she was good in it. And then Nicolas Cage played an awesome. I'd never seen him like that before. That was
very original. That was very original, and of course she was great. And I just saw that there's something else coming up that's gonna. I think it's a film, or is it a series that she plays a nun? And anyway, it looks good too. But I like those like really more like psychological. Scary movies with the twist. I love a good twist.
So who was your of all the movies you've ever done, who was the best actor you ever worked with? Because I know you've worked with a lot of them. So who was your favorite? Who was your favorite actor you ever worked with? Like out of all your movies? Well,
I gotta put them at different levels because I've worked on some really big budget films. Like I worked
Point Break.
Oh, and I got to meet Keanu Reeves and Lori Petty because I was in a scene with them.
Yeah.
So it's that film, I do the fire spitting and we're at the party. And so when between takes, I had to blow fire in their direction as they walk into the party. So then we're just standing there. And so Keanu Reeves was chatting with me. So that was cool. But there was a film that I did called Out Cold, which I had just a small little part on. But John Lithgow was in it, and Terry Garr and Randy Quaid. And those guys were so nice to me. And I really was basically a glorified background actor because I was just kind of dancing around in the background of this mountain lodge that we were at. And that's a really good movie. It's really funny. It's like John Lithgow and Terry Garr accidentally kill somebody, but they they think they killed them, but they didn't actually really kill the guy. It was an accident. But it's really funny. So they're trying to get rid of the body, and it's just hilarious. But they were so nice to me. So I was, then the director was, just wanting me to stay for another night. And I couldn't because I had another gig somewhere far away and I had to drive. And he kept offering me more money. And man, I should have just stayed because the thing I left for was just a piece of shit little dinky dink commercial that I never saw. It never aired. And so I should have stayed. But, I had made an agreement to go work on this other thing. So I didn't want to just blow it off. Anyway, I should have just blown it off. But so working with people like that, and John Candy and Steve Martin, okay, hands down, John Candy, it has got to be my favorite person that I ever worked with. He was the sweetest, kindest, most generous, lovely person that I have ever met, that anyone's, and I've met some really nice people. So second to John Candy, I'm going to say Bill Oberst Jr. I love Bill. I love Bill Oberst Jr. Working with him was a real treat. And again, going back to Shadows of the Night, that should, it's in post-production right now. But that one, I think it's going to be really good. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to seeing it put together. I've seen a lot of the scenes, but I think that'll be a nice one. And another film that's coming out really soon is Finding Nicole. That I play the mother of the main character. The character of Nicole is a real person, Nicole Beverly, who went through a horrific domestic abuse situation with her ex-husband. And so Finding Nicole is based on her real life story. But that film did amazingly well on the film festival circuit. It won so many awards. I actually won 2 Best Supporting Actress awards for my role in it. And so that one should be coming out soon. And and I did a film that I really liked a few years back with Monty Light. Do you happen to know Monty Light? He's a filmmaker. Well, we did a film called Blood Covered Chocolate. And that one, do you know that one?
I've seen it. I've seen that and Disciples with Tony Todd. I've seen that one. I've seen and then There's No Such Thing as Zombies.
Oh, did you see? Yeah. Oh, did you see There's No Such Thing as Zombies?
I've seen it a while ago. I watch everything, so I'm kind of like a movie fan. I've seen almost everything. So
well, that's who I went to go see in Vienna. My good friend Michael Hammerfellner. He's the writer and producer of There's No Such Thing as Zombies.
Yes.
And while I was there, we did a little interview with me for his website. He has a website called Search My Trash. So we did a little interview because he's promoting There's No Such Thing as Zombies right now, especially because it's Halloween.
Yeah, I seen it on your profile. He was advertising that part.
Oh, good. So, yeah. Well, that's cool that you saw Blood Covered Chocolate. I find that film very artistic. I don't know the other James, if you've seen it. Are you as big of a movie buff as this other James?
I don't watch as many like horror movies and stuff like that. Like I watch some, but I love comedy more than anything.
Okay, I love comedy too.
I like the action adventure stuff like Hunger Games and Indiana Jones, and I love that stuff too. But comedy is what I normally do because I don't know how much you know about me, but like all my books come from my dreams. All I have is these horrible nightmares every night. So like every time I go to sleep, it's like a hellscape and it's horrifying and it's terrible. It's like the worst.
Are you kidding me?
No, ever since I've been a little kid, that literally all my best-selling novels come from my dreams.
Yeah, he's a best-selling author.
Those
Stephen King's
scary ass stories.
That's what you told me.
Come straight from my dreams. That's what I see every time I close my eyes. So,
oh my God, I'm gonna have to check out some of your books.
When I'm awake, like I want to laugh. Like I love stand-up. I love like comedy stuff, silly, goofy shit. That's why I love like Blazing Saddles, and so I love goofy, funny movies that are the furthest thing away from scary as can be. Now I'll watch scary movies too. I like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, all the big ones, and some of the smaller ones I get into as well, but I don't watch near as much as Old Boy. Old Boy consumes movies like they're food. He
Ah,
loves horror movies.
well, that's like Michael Haberfelder. So you and Michael Haberfelder have a lot in common.
Well, you know, I have two books myself. But mine, one of them was religious, and the other one's from another story. And I'm almost done. I've been doing the character. I showed you the character, No Face. This one.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So this is going to be a reality. I'm almost done with the book. It only took me got about a week's left. I've done about 250 pages of the backstory of this story. It's going to probably take another month for it to get published with Amazon. I'm going to do it independently this time, like James did. I'm learning my lesson from the last couple books I've put out because they sucked, the place I went through.
Oh,
But yeah, we're trying to make this character, just like you said, Mrs. Producer. We're always looking to make this character a reality eventually.
yeah. That's a good mask. Yeah, I remember you showed that to me.
You like the character when I showed it to
Yeah,
you. So.
yeah.
But a lot of people have.
as far as comedy goes, what's your taste in comedies? Like, I happen to really love Beer Fest. Love Beer Fest.
Yes, I like Bear Fest. I like National Lampoon movies like Chubby Chase. I like John Candy. I love Uncle Buck, stuff like that.
Yeah,
I like
love Uncle
John
Buck
Hughes
too.
movies. I like drama too. I love 80s movies. I love that era. I like the Breakfast Club, stuff like that, and Pretty in Pink, and as crazy as that sounds, I like that. And the Goonies, I like that.
Yeah, I love the Goonies. Yeah.
Yeah, the Goonies, Gremlins, Never Ending Story, The Labyrinth. I like all kinds of stuff. I'm weird. So
Well, that's like me because, I love movies and I love good movies. So it doesn't matter what genre it is. If it's a good movie, whether it's a comedy or drama or horror or action, and I really love action. I love action adventure. I love Jason Statham. I always do this. I always want to mix up Jason Statham with Jason Stamos. And I combine the two last names.
Yeah, I get it.
Statham. I love Jason Statham movies. And I used to really I very much disliked Tom Cruise for the longest time. I didn't like him. I just didn't like anything he did. But because of the Mission Impossible films, I started watching them. The first couple I didn't see in the theater. Well, wait. I think the first one I didn't see in the theater, but then I watched a couple in the theater, and then I had to watch all of them because I'm like hooked on these Mission Impossible movies. It's so good. But yeah, it's I love all kinds. And
I think his best role, in my opinion, was Lestat in Interview with a Vampire.
Oh, okay.
It's funny because that role pissed off most Anne Rice fans. Because most people that love the books, they're like, that's not what Lestat is supposed to be. Lestat's supposed to be
Yeah.
this, you know how book people are. I'm a book person. I love to read the books of movies, and a lot of times they're better because you can use your own imagination. But I thought that the way he played that role was just brilliant, and it changed. It's one of those rare occasions where I have a vision of what the character is supposed to be based on the novels, and then I watch a movie and it's different, but it's actually better than what it. And that'll piss off a lot of Anne Rice fans because it's beautifully written. I mean, it's masterfully written. But just his performance in that, and I was the same as you. I did not care much for Tom Cruise. I never seen him in anything I really liked.
Yeah.
But that movie changed my opinion because that was just a masterful thing. And as far as like comedy goes, I like all kinds of different stuff. Like I'd like weird like Mr. Bean, Monty Python, British comedy, that wacky stuff, all the way to like classic like Buster Keaton.
Yeah.
Costello, Lauren Hardy, those guys, Three Stooges. I love the slapstick stuff. And I'm even now getting into rom-coms, believe it or not. And I was a guy that, I'm a manly redneck man. I've never watched a rom-com. My wife's got me watching so many damn rom-coms that now I'm picking them out. I'm like, let's watch this one. She's like, you want to watch romantic comedy?
I love Hallmark style Christmas movies. I never used to like them. until I don't know when I started to like it. Now, a few years back, I don't know when it was, maybe a little longer ago, I started watching Hallmark Christmas movies. And now, because I've been watching them for the past few years, during the holidays, now I'm hooked. There's this one particular Christmas movie starring Brooke Shields and how do you say his last name? Carrie Ooze, the Princess Bride guy. Hughes. Okay, Carrie. Yeah,
that's an awesome film too, by the way. Princess Bride, amazing.
It is. It's a classic. But there's a Christmas movie that they do, and I can't think of it right now. But she's in Scotland, and it's cute. It's cute. But and then there's some movies that Emily Clark does, a couple Christmas movies, and so now I'm hooked. And one of my favorite directors of all time, Fred Olen Ray, who I did 3 films with back in the early 90s or late 80s, early 90s. Beverly Hills Vamp, Mob Boss, and Warlords with David Carradine. So now, he did all these films back in the home video explosion. And he did all sorts of different kinds of genres. Horror comedy, exploitation type films, action, and he had a lot of big stars in his films back then too. Well, nowadays, the past several years, he's been doing Christmas movies. So he just finished another Christmas movie a couple months ago. And there's this one particular Christmas movie he did where I have a bunch of friends that are in that film. And so, yeah, if you look up Fred Olen Ray on IMDb, you'll see like tons of Christmas films. And I've seen a couple of them. Now I have to watch more of them. But yeah, so it's really fun to see people that you worked with like ages ago, and then they're moving on to do something completely different. But he's very successful making these Christmas movies. And another filmmaker I worked with back in the day, Riff Coogan from that did The Invisible Maniac. Well, his name is actually Adam Rifkin, and he's incredibly successful these days. He's been successful for the past handful of years, but he did a film with Burt Reynolds, and I just can't. My brain's not working, so I can't think of the name of it right now. But it got a lot of acclaim. It got a lot of attention. I think it was Burt Reynolds. If it wasn't his very last film, it was one of his very last films that he did. And now Adam Rifkin is doing a Western with Malcolm McDowell and Mary Steenburgen, and it's like, Adam, what happened? He forgot all about me, but whatever.
Hey, you play your cards right, you'll be on a Christmas movie soon. So
I would love that. That's my next thing, is I want to be in a Christmas movie. I'm dying. Oh, but speaking of vampire films, because you were talking about Anne Rice and Interview with Vampire, which I do love that film. My next big project is Vampire Penance, The Atonement of John Wolfe. Now, this film is written, directed, and produced by my very, very good friend, John Rain. And I've been attached to this film it's going on 4 years. Well, the film's finally getting made, and we should be making it, hopefully spring, around spring, maybe summer. I don't know, but it's coming up. And this film has gone through so many different like highs and lows, as far as it's going to be a big budget film. No, it's going to be a small budget film. No, it's going to be a big budget film. No, it's gone through all these different, it's going to be this, that, and now it looks like it's going to be a pretty big film. So I'm really, really super, super excited. I've been waiting for this one for ages, and it's finally going to be happening soon. So that's very cool. And it's a very cool vampire story. It's something totally, totally different. And I think you guys are really going to love it, because you guys, both of you, are writers, and you're into all this paranormal things. And if I could assume, and tell me if I'm guessing incorrectly, but my guess is that you're really into history too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really, really into history, really into history. So, which is when you travel, it's so cool. You go to these European places, and for you, James, Germany, it just kind of what I'm trying to like, it absorbs you or takes you into a whole other world. You see all this architecture. You go to Europe and see all this architecture. You just, can envision the history. Well, Vampire Penance is a story that it literally starts with the crucifixion of Christ, and you have all this visual, why can't I talk, visualization of historic events and the Spear of Destiny. And the sequel is going to be an even bigger historic jump, where it jumps from the Hunnic Empire to the Roman Empire, back to modern times, and it kind of takes you on a trip throughout the ages. And so it's going to be very cool, very cool.
Sounds like a cool movie.
It's going to be really, really cool.
And what are you gonna play in it? Or you're not allowed to say anything yet?
Oh no, I can. It's
yeah.
I play Shotgun. She's one of the main vampire hunters.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and I'm a mentor to a young girl, and depending on how the story goes, there might be 2 young girls or 1 young girl or whatever. But the main young girl's name is Billy, and so I'm like her mentor. And
oh, cool! It sounds like a cool movie.
Yeah. And the cool thing about it is it also is going to be starring my good friend Kieran Davies. And Kieran is actually from Ireland, but he lives in England. But he's been working on a film called Geezers. And when I was there in London earlier this year, I got to actually film with him. He had a role for me in that. And my husband got a little part in it too. And my other good friend, Michael Haberfeldner, also got a little role in it. So we were all in it. And it was really a lot of fun. But Geezers is coming out soon. Now that one's like actually my favorite genre, because that's a high octane crime, drama, action, film. And it's kind of like along the lines of Snatch and
awesome.
What's that one? 2 shotguns. No, that's not what you call it. 2, what's that other Guy Ritchie movie? 2 loaded barrels.
2 loaded shotguns or something like that. Yeah.
The one
like that.
The British film.
Oh, I know there's Snatch and there's Snatch. I think I forget what the name is. Gosh,
I'm really mixing up the name completely.
Yeah. Something like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Yeah, Lock, Stock, and Barrel. Yeah.
That's it. You got it. That's it. Well, gentlemen, it's getting close to Halloween. It's spooky time. What are you guys doing for Halloween?
I'm watching movies with my wife. That's what I do every Halloween. Because nobody's the streets here, because we're way up on the mountain. So we just kind of, like, pretty much the whole month of October. She likes horror movies, but she doesn't watch horror movies unless I'm there. She gets scared very easily. Where we live, it's scary if you're all by yourself. You know what I mean? So she gets a little freaked out. So she always wants me to watch them with her, and I don't usually watch a whole lot of them. But during October, I watch whatever she wants. So we just finished watching the Purge TV show. That was the last thing we watched, and then we watched this movie called What's Inside. It's a Netflix movie. It's one of like body switching movies. But
I heard of that one. Was it good?
It is very good, surprisingly.
It's called What's Inside?
I think that's what it's called. I didn't have high hopes for it. like watching the trailer and reading the description of it, but it shocked me. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, that's basically what I'll be doing, is just hanging out with my woman and making her happy and watching horror movies with her.
And what about you, James?
It's my anniversary with my wife. We got married on
Oh,
Halloween 4
happy
years ago.
anniversary!
So we're gonna probably go. Well, she's gonna be off. I'll probably do something the day after. For November 1st, we'll probably go to dinner or something. But and her
That's
birthday was
nice.
just 2 days ago. So her birthday's on the 22nd. So then we have our anniversary like 9 days later. So every day is Halloween to me and my wife. I live that gothic kind of lifestyle anyway. So I've always have kind of into that. So every day is Halloween to me. But yeah, we've been just watching horror movies, and I watch a lot of the old school black and white, like Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, God, The Blob, all kinds of stuff like that. And I'm into everything. Like, but I've been working a lot, and that's a lot of it. I just go to work too. So, James is pretty, being a famous writer, he gets kicked back all the time. So, and make cannons, but and he's working on other books and stuff. But he deserves it though. He wrote some really good books, so he gets to chill out. And you were in Europe, but I just get to work, so that's what I get to do, because that. But I have no problem with it. I'm just kidding. But that's about it.
Well,
Nothing really crazy.
well, I'm going to be doing the same thing. I'm going to be watching scary movies with my husband, and one of the movies. So since we were just in Venice, we want to watch The Haunting of Venice. It's a really good movie. We already saw it, but we want to see it again.
What's it about?
Well,
other than Venice, but
it's one of those Agatha Christie films.
Okay.
What's the Haunting in Venice? It's starring what's his face? Kenneth Branagh, but it's one of those. Is it an Agatha Christie movie?
Hercule Poirot.
Oh, how do you say Poirot? It's the detective guy. It's
Murder on the Orient.
Murder on the Orient, Murder on the Nile, Death on the Nile.
Yeah.
This is Haunting in Venice, and
cool.
yeah, and so we want to watch that. But we love watching the old black and whites. We love watching what's it called? Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, and we watch that pretty much every year. There's some films that we watch every year, like the Trilogy of Terror with Vincent Price and Peter Lorre, and The Raven with Peter Lorre and Vincent Price, and there's a lot of classics that we always watch.
Charlie Brown and the Great Pumpkin.
Yeah. Charlie Brown. What?
Have you ever seen Private Eyes with Tim Conway and Don Knotts? It's a movie.
No.
You got to check that out. It's a horror movie that they made in I think the early to mid 80s. I grew up with this movie. I watched it every year, and it is a great movie. But it's hard to find. I don't know if you can buy it on DVD or anything. I have an old VHS copy that barely works anymore, because I've had it since I was young. But it's called Private Eyes. It's Tim Conway and Don Knotts. It's a really cool.
Wow.
They're basically like detectives, like old school, like Sherlock Holmes type detectives, and they're going to try to solve this murder. It's one of those whodunits, but there's a supernatural element to it, and a spooky kind of element. There's a monster called the Wookalar that they're always trying to get away from. It's a really cool flick. I think you can.
Oh wow! Yeah, I've seen we always watch The Ghost of Mr. Chicken. We've seen that a million times, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and throw to you first. You can do your whatever plugs you want to do, any shout outs, any stuff like that, and then we'll go to Old Boy and wrap up.
Yeah. So if you're looking for me, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. And IMDb. Everybody, go check out my page on IMDb, and you can see the films that I've done. And of course, if you have IMDb Pro, you can see the films that I have coming up. But if you are just on regular IMDb, you won't see that. But the films that I have coming up that are coming out are Finding Nicole, and Geezers will be coming out soon. And Shadows of the Night will be coming out sometime next year. And I did a film with Colton Dietz called Reminisce. That should be coming out soon. And of course, next year, I'm really looking forward to doing Vampire Penance, The Atonement of John Wolfe.
Thank you very much for coming on the show. I've been waiting for years, and I finally got her on here. And thank you very much, Miss Lim.
Well, thanks for having me. I hope this won't be the last time, too. Yeah. I'll have to come back again.
Yes, I would love for you to come back. Thank you very much. You guys want to check her out, and we'll probably have this show on YouTube in a couple days. We'll put it on Spotify. Then it will be on ParaX Radio at 9 in our time, California time, Pacific, and then 12 a.m. Eastern time, where James is at on technically Monday morning. And they'll play it over and over. So that's just how they do it, because we're, we have it like that. Thank you for listening to us on ParaX Radio, everyone. Every Sunday nights, like I said, at 9 Pacific time, 12 Eastern. The Best of Show Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. Check us out on Spotify. If you want to check us out, check James Hershey's YouTube page. Subscribe. You want merchandise? Go to our shop. He'll tell you where to go. That being said, I love you guys. It's almost Halloween. Have a good night, Misfits, Sugar Ladies, and Monster Lovers. I love you, and have a good night. Blessed be.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank you for coming on. Old Boy talked you up quite a bit. Yeah, he said you were a wonderful lady, and I was watching you, and you were just you were gonna be the second coming. Is the way he talked you up, like you were gonna. So
oh my God! And well, I hope it wasn't a letdown.
No, you did not disappoint. It was a real pleasure getting to meet you and to talk to you. You are actually a wonderful person, and I'm very happy to talk to you. And you're always welcome. Anytime you have anything to plug, anything like that, just hit one of us up, and we'll get you in. You're always welcome on the show. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Well, I really enjoyed talking to you guys too, and I'm gonna and I did send you a friend request, James. You accepted it, I'm sure. Yeah. Okay. I haven't been on Facebook for about 3 or 4 days, so I got behind on because oh God, that one day we were just traveling. We were up for like 24 hours just traveling from Europe back here, and then yesterday we just didn't do anything, and so I need to get back on Facebook again, which I will probably at the end of the because Eric's still on vacation, so I don't want to spend all day on Facebook, but I'll get back on there soon. Well, I think you guys, I mean, I don't know for a fact because I'd have to look, and I don't really know about if it shows, popular or if it has good numbers, but I think your guys' show is pretty watched a lot, right?
Depending on the platform, like on the radio, we're in 101 countries. So the radio is huge. That audience is big. The YouTube audience, it depends on the show.
Yeah.
Some shows will get 500,000. Some shows.
Really?
Oh yeah. Some shows might only get a couple hundred. It all depends on the show. It's if they're interested in what we're doing.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I've got shows I put up that have gotten over 500,000 views. I've got well over millions of views on there.
On YouTube?
On YouTube, yeah. Now that's not a normal thing. Every video.
Right.
Sometimes it's embarrassing. Sometimes you get like 20 or 30. You're like, what happened?
Well, with the
shadow banning too that they do on YouTube. If you talk about what you're not supposed to talk about.
Oh, well, with the more popular videos, is it because you have somebody like really famous on or something?
No, we usually don't have guests on. We've had Marcus on, we've had Hate the Chosen on, and we've had you on. But we don't usually have guests on stereo. It's not something we ordinarily do.
You just talk?
Yeah, it's like more of a historical and an informative show. We'll get on and do like for a great example, we were talking about paranormal earlier. I did an episode of Staring called "What Are Demons and Where Do They Come From?" And that's where I explained what demons were, the origins of them, the actual biblical origins of vampires. I proved the existence of the old Greek gods through scripture, all that. So we do those kind of shows. We go through and lay out a ton of information.
Did you just say you were proving the existence of Greek gods in the scriptures?
Yeah.
Because I just watched a YouTube video because I watch a lot of these YouTube videos of people who will it'll be the person they're sitting watching they watch a bunch of them, a bunch of like uh interesting, crazy videos.
Yeah.
And so I like those because you can see a lot of different things in one video. But I just watched it, I think was it maybe this morning, there was somebody that had proven the existence of gods, like Greek gods, and they were talking about, because I'm Christian, so I always wonder how it all fits in with your Christianity and the ideas of Christianity, how it all fits together. So the guy, the video was saying, and there was these statues that are there. They are somewhere. They're kind of, the color is brown, but they're giant. I mean, like really, really giant statues of this man and woman, and it was saying that somebody proved the existence of Greek gods, and then said there were all these gods, and God, like the God that we think of as God, was one of the gods. And then the other gods, it's complicated. And then the other gods they were doing wrong things, and they just were demoted or something. And then the God that we think of as God, our God, kind of got to be the central guy. I don't know. It was very complicated.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
But it would be very interesting to listen in on a discussion of gods, that there's a proven that there's gods. I mean, because we always think of there's only one God.
Yeah, I'll send you the link on Messenger to the show. But I can give you a really quick rundown of it that'll take a couple minutes.
But this is why your show is so popular, because you get into these interesting topics.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm a nerd. I was a Mensa kid. I'm like a genius level person. I mean, not
okay.
what I am.
Okay.
I worked on some projects for NASA back when I was young. I'm very, very smart, and I research thoroughly on things. Like I will get way deep on things. But basically, it all goes back to Genesis 6. Okay, the angels came down to mate with women because they thought they were sweet and hot, and ended up making the giants. Right, the offspring was the giants. Well,
okay.
The giants died. When the giants died, their spirit is what we call demons. It's the spirit of the original giants from Genesis, the fallen angels and mankind. Now, the giant spirit had a body when it was a giant, because its mother and father had a body. The angel and the woman had a body, right? It had a spirit because the angel was a spiritual being before it took on human form. So it had a body and a spirit, but it did not have a soul, because only God can grant a soul. And the Nephilim, the giants, as abominations that weren't worthy of a soul. So that's why they are spirit beings that are constantly searching for another host, another person. And that's why they hate us so much, because we are made in God's image, in the Trinity, just like He is, of body, spirit, and soul, where they don't have the soul. Okay, so the vampires were the fallen angels. In order to mate with the women, they had to take on a human form. Okay, and in Scripture, it talks about how the life is in the blood. And I go through all this in the show, and I'll send it to you. It's like an hour and something long of Scripture you can really deep dive. But basically, they would drink the blood in order to take on a human form, so that they could remain here on earth as fleshly creatures that could mate with the women. And when they mated with the women, not only was it the women, but with all forms of animals and all kinds of stuff. And I have another show called Origin of Monsters, where I get into that, about how they mated with different animals and created a lot of these creatures from Greek mythology, like the Minotaur and the Centaur and stuff like this. That's where that comes from, is from them mating with animals, offspring that were hybrids of the two. And I get into all of this and show you in scripture where it says it in the Bible, show you in like the Book of Enoch where it talks about it, and in other texts, ancient texts where it talks about it, and it's fascinating stuff. So that's the actual way it goes. But then what happens is, and this happens a lot, somebody will watch one of our shows that we did where I deep dive into something, and they'll get a little bit of what I said, but not all of it, and then they'll make a video about it, and then it's completely not what I said. You know what I mean? They get it all twisted and wrong. So then you get all this weird stuff going on. You know what I mean? Where people are saying, "Oh,
Yeah.
this is," and it's like
Yeah.
the Greek gods were the fallen angels. They were worshipped as gods. They were blood sacrifices done to these gods because they needed the blood in order to remain in human form, in order to continue the carnal stuff that they were doing. Because without the blood, they were spiritual beings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Through all the
Yeah.
scriptures.
That's very interesting. I find that very now one of the conspiracies that I never thought I'd even give any credence to at all, but I started watching some things. This is a couple years ago because I it's not fresh in my brain at all because I was like kind of getting into this about, I don't know, a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago or something. But and I'm not convinced like at all, but I found the evidence intriguing enough to at least entertain the idea of flat earth. Now I don't believe that we're living on a flat earth.
Neither do
I don't.
we.
Yeah,
What?
I'll also send you. I did a show on that.
Yeah, we.
But I found it interesting because apparently it's like I can barely even remember this now, but they had um articles and things about the explorers that went to the Antarctica, and that then now it's off limits and nobody can go there, and then the whole thing of the dome, and then they were saying, well, I don't know, they had all this evidence, and I was like, well, I don't believe that we're living on flat earth, but from what they were saying, I thought I could kind of see how people would think, okay, I'm going along with this, but what do you think of that?
They try to use science jargon
Uh-huh.
to people that don't know science in order to make them go, "Oh, well, that guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about." You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
They say a lot of things that aren't true, like the idea that you can't go to Antarctica is just false. You can actually go anytime you want. You can
Is
get
it the other one? Huh?
no, that's the one they say. They say you can't go to Antarctica because that's
Oh,
what
they do say that. Okay.
yeah. But it's not true because literally you can go online right now and apply for a job in Antarctica at one of the research stations as a normal person and get the
Yeah.
job and go there. They have
Oh.
tours where they have literally cruises that cruise around it. I mean,
Oh. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I did a show on that where I go through scientifically and disprove everything they said. And there's
Okay.
actual
Okay.
science on it because that's kind of was my field when I was younger in science
Oh.
was astrophysics and space and stuff. So that's what I did. So it's like I went through and I every single one of their little points that they make, I went and said, "This is the actual science on it. This is where they're wrong." You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So I could send you that one too if you want. If you wanted to
Sure.
take the time to
Sure.
listen to it, it's up to you.
And
But yeah,
and and the one other thing is, what do you think? What's your take on this, both of you? Did we land on the moon?
yes,
Oh, you think so?
He worked for NASA. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
you worked. That's right. You worked for NASA.
So yes, it's true. That's why I said you got to watch these conspiracies. The moon, yes, and I'm going to be honest with you, we probably have already been to Mars. We're just not going to know it yet. They're not going to
Yeah.
tell you yet.
Yeah.
There's
Well.
a lot that they don't tell the public.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So what were you doing for NASA?
I was part of a. I got to be careful talking about this because some of this might be classified stuff I'm not supposed to talk
Oh,
about.
okay.
I was part of a think tank project to where they would have problems and they would say like we want to leave the solar system, but
Yeah.
you can only carry so much fuel because if you carry too much fuel, you're too heavy to get out of the Earth's gravity and escape Earth orbit. You can only have a certain amount of weight, and that'll only take you so far. So the problem is you run out of fuel long before you get there, right? So fix it. How do you do it? Stuff like that. They would give me it would be a sheet of paper and would just have a question like that on it. And then I have to come up with an idea to fix it. And then I submit it. And then they send that to the engineers and they figure out how to actually build it and make it work.
Oh, were you able to come up with a lot of great ideas?
Yeah, some that are actually going to be used to do a lot of really cool stuff in the future to make us be able to be on other planets and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, wow. So we did land on the moon.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I was completely convinced we did not land on the moon, and the whole thing was filmed by Stanley Kubrick.
Well, see, the problem is there's truth and there's BS, right?
Uh-huh.
Some of the stuff that they shot that they sent back to Earth and like to the public, like this is what this looks like. This is what this. Some of that wasn't real. That's the problem.
Oh, okay.
Because in some cases they just couldn't film it, so
Yeah.
they would do stuff to this is what it looks like kind of thing, right? So then people would take that and say, oh look, that means we didn't go. You know what I mean? But a lot of that stuff's been debunked too. Like they'll say, well, the flag was sitting a certain way. There was no wind up there. How could it be doing that? It's because there's a damn plastic piece going through it to hold it. A metal rod here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hold it in that direction. And then they'll say stuff like, well, because of this doesn't work, or the light is wrong here or there. And
Yeah. What about the light? The direction of the lights. I mean, it just didn't seem to add up.
there's two things they talk about with that. One is the shot through the actual capsule when they're
Uh-huh.
okay, that was filmed. They say, well, the scale is all off, the light's wrong, and the scale's all off. Well, that's because they weren't right up on the window when they took those pictures when they filmed that. They were back further. So what you're getting is a view of the capsule and the hole that they're looking out of, and it skews it and makes it not right. That's the one thing. And then there's several different things as far as the lunar surface that they were talking about with different lights and different shadows and all that kind of stuff. I think I actually did a show on this. Oldwood can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we did this as a show one time. We've been doing this for like 8 years, so we've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shows. But I went through that and totally explained everything that people say about the moon landing as well, as far as my knowledge goes. But I will tell you there were things that weren't exactly what they were supposed to be. Not just with the moon landing, a lot of stuff NASA's released. Because I've seen footage that's released to the public, and I've seen the actual footage before it's released to the public. And there's stuff flying around in this footage that ain't in this footage. Let's put it that way.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So there's stuff that gets taken out of footage before it gets released to the public because they don't want you to know about it. There's stuff that gets kind of photoshopped a little bit to make it look better because the original photo is overexposed or it doesn't look quite right. But to take that and say, well, that means that none of this is true, it isn't true. Not only did we land on the moon, but we've done a hell of a lot more in space than most people think. You know, a lot of people give Trump the credit for Space Force, but the truth of that honestly is that Space Force existed before Trump. It's just that's when it was publicly announced that it existed. You know what I'm saying? That's the way the government kind of works is whatever they are doing today, you'll find out about in 20 years.
Yeah.
It'll be
Yeah.
brand new technology in 20 years. Look at this amazing new thing we just invented. But they've been using it for 20 years.
Well, they're cloning people, right? They've got to be cloning people for sure. Well, what?
I said I would
about 20 years.
there's a lot of stuff like that going on.
Yeah, that's already been going on for about 15 to 20 years.
Well, yeah.
They've been doing that for a while. Yeah, they do a lot of stuff. They mess around with a lot of things. The woolly mammoth is going to be walking soon. Trust me.
I know. I saw
that's another show we did.
Yeah. I should come back on so we could talk about all the conspiracy.
You can, come back on and we can talk about whatever you want.
The woolly mammoth thing drives me crazy.
Why?
It's not really a woolly mammoth. It's a hybrid.
They freak out about the woolly mammoth coming back. You can't bring that thing back. They're not bringing back the woolly mammoth. That's not what's happening. What's happening is they're tinkering around with the genome of an existing elephant, either the African or the Asian elephant. They're tinkering around with the genome, adding some genetic code from the woolly mammoth into that to change that animal to more resemble a woolly mammoth. It's a lot like the Nazi scientists did in World War II when they were trying to bring back all the beasts of the forest over in Europe that used to exist there. And
Oh,
they were selectively breeding different animals to try to get certain characteristics of those animals into the animals that they were making, right?
uh-huh.
In order to more resemble like these giant beasts that used to wander the forest of Europe. It's kind of the same thing, but in a laboratory instead of just in a barn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what's really
Interesting.
happening. Because once something goes extinct, you can't actually bring it back. You can't, because the problem is, in order to clone something, in order to make something like that, you can't just make it from whole cloth. You have to have an egg. You have to have that embryo. And that embryo has to come from something. So what they do is they take a species that is either in the same family or
Yeah.
genus or at least close enough to where they can say, okay, this is kind of like that. So if we take an Asian elephant and we tinker with the hair a little bit and we make it longer, right? And then let's add, instead of these little tusks, let's really exaggerate those tusks. Let's find that part of the genome that is responsible for tusk growth and strength and thickness and all of that, and let's insert code there that will make it longer, or and then over several generations that gets exaggerated over and over and over again until they get something that is a reasonable facsimile of a woolly mammoth, but it is not in any way actually a woolly mammoth. It's just
Uh,
a genetic freak Asian elephant. So that's what
Yeah.
they're essentially doing. Because once something
oh,
it's gone, because you'd have to have a viable embryo from an actual woolly mammoth
oh,
to
yeah,
create another woolly mammoth, but you just don't have
yeah,
that.
yeah. Well,
Hope
that's all
that went.
fun. Well, I want to come back on the show so we can talk about all this stuff because
Yeah, sure.
this is like my favorite stuff to talk
We'll
about.
be here all night if you keep going. Trust me, he will keep going. He's one of the smartest people in the world. You're
Well,
really
I'm really happy to have reconnected with you, James, and to have met you, James. And now I know who you are. I'm gonna have to check out some of your books. And my husband, he's been listening to his music all night, but he's an incredible writer himself. He's got some books that he's got on Amazon, and I'm a writer too. But I've written mainly short stories. But I have this one. So I was writing for a magazine for about 5 years, and the last year that I wrote for them, we had this idea that I would do a story each month. So for 12 months, I wrote basically, a soap opera episode each month of this story about Satan coming to town in the Old West. And it's a great story. So one of these days, our computer got malware a long time ago. And so I don't have the stories on in a email anymore because the whatever it was on got corrupted, but I have all my stories in the magazines because I bought them all, so I'm sure I have all 12 copies or 12 episodes of those stories, but I've got other stories too. And so now Jane, the other James, James Ash, you have stories too. Like, was
the
one of you?
easiest way we could do this. Just call me Old Boy because it gets too confusing. That's
Okay.
what my Old Boy. That would be elite. So you don't have to go James.
Okay. So,
Call me Old Boy. So
old boy, I know you both write and you both have books, but is either one of you like? Do you guys write scripts? Are you interested in
well,
that?
I'm trying to get him to. We're talking to him to write the script for this book this character. He's thinking about doing it. That's one thing he hasn't done is we haven't done a movie yet. But I'm trying to get him to do it because I think he could. Because everything he does, he masters it. He used to be in a band and sing. He does anything he does. He turns the gold. Just like this, we did this show and it was something else and it turned into this. But he's just like that. But yeah, I'm trying to get him to write the script for this movie. We got
The
people
one
want
with
to
your
do it.
mask, character.
Yeah, Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. We're trying to, and we got a lot of people behind it. Brandy Mason wants to be involved. There's a couple other people on it. She was the one Don't F in the Woods and Don't F in the Woods
Yeah.
too. Yeah, her and she's in other stuff, but she liked it. A couple other people, Stephen Barrow liked it. Marcus liked it. Ate the Chosen One, and you liked it. I even send it to because I'm friends with Andy Devilhoff, the Wishmaster. I'm friends with him. Uh he owned a brewery in Crestline, and he sold it last year because of what happened out there with the snow falling, and it made like for 2 months they got shut, so he lost a bunch of money, and the guy raised the rent on him because of California. But he was a guy in Toy Soldiers, and I was cool with him. He's been doing conventions. I showed it to him. He liked it. He's gonna be on the show next, eventually. But he's a cool guy. I don't know if you ever met Andy Devilhoff. He was in Wishmaster.
I don't. That name doesn't ring a bell to me.
He was in. Did you ever see that movie with Toy Soldiers? Had Louis Gossett Jr. The guy played in Lord of the Rings. Sam.
I may have seen that. Yeah, I don't think I know him.
He's in Lost. He's the bad guy in Lost. The main guy, the evil guy in Lost. The show Lost.
No, I never saw that show.
You never saw the show Lost because that was a popular show. That's
I know it was a really. There's a lot of really popular shows that I never saw. I've never seen one episode of The Walking Dead. I've never. Yeah. There's so many things that I haven't seen. There is so much content. There's so many movies and so many shows, and you just can't see them all.
I get it. But
yeah, I've never written a script, but I have like 4 full-length novels that I put out. 3 of them are a trilogy. It's the I Am Legion trilogy. It's I Am Legion, Surrogate of Souls, and Rise of the Revenant.
Oh,
they're all like blockbuster movies. They're
yeah,
edge of your seat, amazing films.
So anybody could option your book to make and they could make a script and.
Yeah, and then I have a standalone book that I wrote called Call of the Wind Spirits. That is an amazing book. I was literally, as I was writing it, I was crying writing it.
Yeah.
It was that powerful and moving.
I own it.
The storyline is about, it's this little girl is in her bed sleeping, and the window's open because it's warm outside, it's summer, and somebody snatches her out of her bed and takes her up to a cabin in the woods and ties her up. And the parents are obviously distraught. They're crazy because they're like, oh my God, our kid is gone. It's a little girl. And early on, the police get it in their head that it was the parents who were responsible, and they kind of they stop looking for the little girl, and they're focusing on the parents instead. So part of the struggle of the book is about the parent struggle that, oh my God, our child is missing. We're going crazy over that, and the police are looking at us instead of trying to find the actual person that took her, and she might be dead by now. There's that struggle, and then there's the struggle of the little girl who's tied up in this cabin, scared out of her mind, doesn't know what's going to happen. This creepy old man has her held hostage there, and she's trying to escape and trying to figure out how the hell to get away, and she's scared, and so it's that struggle and trauma as well, and it all kind of comes together in the end. And then there's a supernatural element for the end of it. It's a brilliant book. I'm like I said before, I'm not a toot your own horn kind of guy. These all came to me as dreams. So everything I dreamt this stuff, but I'm really good at it. I'm really good at writing. I tell a hell of a story. And one thing I can tell you about my books is once you pick them up, you don't put them back down until they're done. You can't stop. They're really, really good. And they will all play really well as movies if somebody makes them into movies, basically. I've just never actually written anything in script form. It's all in novel form, if that makes sense. Like I've never written
now, old boy, are you writing your story with that character? Are you writing a book, or how are you doing it?
I'm basically, what we're doing is character was just something I was messing around on TikTok, and then we threw it to people and they started liking it, and people really liked this. So I was showing it to everyone. I even showed it to you. So what I'm doing is, the reason I'm writing the backstory, because I'm going to use one of his books for the main story, but I'm doing a backstory so then we can own the character, so it's copyrighted. That's why I'm doing it.
Well, yeah.
So I could just Yeah. So I'm doing that, and that's what the story's gonna be a backstory of the character and how it became. I'm almost done.
So are you writing a short story or a book or a novelette or what?
A novel. A novel. It's almost. I'm gonna have over 300 and something pages.
Oh, that's right. You said that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
almost done.
because I
Yeah. Go
have
ahead.
I have a story too that I was working on a script version with my friend, but it's my story. And then I told him, well, I want to go ahead and write at least a short story, and then that way, if we can work on the script and then be based on a book by Debra Lamb.
Cool.
Because it's my original story. So, listen, guys, I gotta go. I'm
Yeah, we'll
so
let you go.
tired.
Yeah,
I had a
like
really good, huh?
Thanks for coming on. We appreciate you, and you're welcome anytime you want to come back.
Yeah, thanks. I had such a good time. I love this kind of stuff that you guys like to talk about. I love all that stuff. So I had a really good time.
No, thank you very much for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me. And yeah, so what did you say, Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah, Saturday it'll be on YouTube and on Spotify, and then
you'll be posting all about it. You're on
Yeah.
Instagram too, right?
Yeah, it'll.
I'll send you the show. I'll send you the show.
We'll send you the links.
No, I mean you're gonna make posts about the show.
Yeah.
Like Debra Lamb's on her show.
Yeah.
Then I'll do it too, and I'll share your posts. And
I've been advertising. You've been coming on for the last week on everything.
Well, I was able to share it a couple times with those story reels things you made.
Yeah, on TikTok.
I was too busy to make like a bigger post about it, but at least I could do that because I was out of the country, so
Yeah, no problem.
I was busy running around Europe.
Yep, no problem.
It was a lot of fun. Well, okay, good night, you guys.
Good night, Miss Lim.
Thanks again. Bye. Bye. Talk to you soon. Have a good weekend.
You too. Okay, with that being said, we appreciate you guys watching. Let us know down in the comment section if you enjoyed it. And as always, it's up to you to make up your own mind, and we will catch you on the next one. Until we speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.